Yo, what's going on, YouTube? Jan Moses back with some more My Team content, and we are finally back with another podcast, our first one with us being in Season 1, and there's no other person I would rather talk virtual hoops with than my guy, Harry.
Yo, what's up, guys? It's so great to be back in the podcast. Such a highly anticipated podcast. But it's funny, I was talking to Jan. We both really haven't been able to share our thoughts on 2K and my team, really just in one party or one conversation. So I think this will be fun to kind of, because I don't really know his thoughts to the full extent. He doesn't really know mine to the full extent. So I think this will be really fun to kind of gauge what we're thinking about 2K.
Yeah, I totally agree. I was talking to Harry a little bit in our pre-stream Discord chat, and Harry has been chomping at the bit to share his thoughts on Season 1 so far. We've been playing what's basically like the equivalent of phone tag over the last couple of weeks, trying to schedule this podcast. Harry's been busy with personal stuff, I've been busy with personal stuff, but we're finally here, and that delay only means we have that much more to cover. So Harry, my friend, the floor is yours. Go ahead.
Okay, so pretty much I know, on the podcast I tend to kind of go into rants and tangents. So I decided to write some notes beforehand so it wouldn't be like an hour-long session of me just talking over Jan. So I just want to kind of preface in the beginning that, I have been really enjoying my team and 2K overall. I think that it's funny, Jan and I, we have complete different experiences. I mean, he's been playing more casually for the entirety of Season 1 so far. I kind of just, game started, I went like totally into it. I finished everything. Like I got the Diamond Roy for completing all the game modes. I'm already over 1 million MT.
Wow.
It's crazy. So we have complete different kind of perspectives. But I want to preface by saying that you'll notice as I kind of go through my thoughts, for the most part, there's a lot more pros and cons. The pros totally outnumber the cons. But for me, at least recently, the cons that I've noticed are so big and detrimental that they kind of, those little cons are what kind of turned me off to playing my team as much as I did early on in the season. And I'll kind of get into that later on in the podcast. But to start off with some positives, and so pretty much I want to read out my positives, and Jan can kind of jump in, say anything that he agrees, disagrees, whatnot.
Yeah, sure.
I want to start out quickly with the gameplay. I think the gameplay is amazing this year. Like going beyond content alone,
Agreed.
I think that 2K has always had such a hard. They always had trouble finding a good balance between all the different like aspects of the game, whether shooting, dribbling, defense. I think all of those this year are great in the sense that they reward you for being good at it. Dribbling, I think it was really hard when I first started, which I think is good because it allowed me to get better. And I mean, Jan can attest the way I can dribble with some of my players. It's amazing how much I've grown. And this is the most excited I've been to learn more dribbling and to get better. Defense, I think defense is good. I feel like this is the first year in a long time where I feel like if you're in the post, if someone is posting on me and I have good shot contests or whatnot, I'm pretty much guaranteed to get the rebound or get the defense. You don't really see too many people making crazy contested layups or stuff like that. And I think shooting, I think it's perfect. I think 2K, I struggled with either making shooting too easy or too, like last year was green or miss, which I was fine with, but it was not good for casuals who I know a lot of my friends who don't play 2K like I do just stop playing because it was too complicated. And I totally understand that. So I like that this year, it's definitely not green or miss. You will make slight leads every now and then. But if you actually study your shots and you know your players' releases on my team or Park, you have the capacity to green it every time. So I think that's good where it kind of perfectly works for both territories. Moving on to what else was that? The MT rewards, that's a big thing. I know Jan and I wouldn't say skeptical, but we were very like, all right, 2K saying they're going to up the MT rewards. Let's see really what this is. And I was blown away from the beginning. The fact that you can play an online game of 2K, get like 5,000. Domination, you're getting like 4,000 as a base, not even including all the other rewards and everything you get for just getting the stars and everything. So I've really been beyond impressed. I mean, a triple threat game, you can make near 1,000 MT. So I think 2K has been doing such a great job in this post no auction house world because it's kind of nice that like I would spend so much time sniping and whatnot during last year's game, especially that I felt like, I mean, I told Jan I barely played online just because I was so into sniping and making MT. I love that I can actually make MT from just playing the game. I don't have to spend, and yes, of course, I miss sniping. Like I think we all are going to miss sniping, and we have such fond memories of doing it.
Yeah.
But I'll be honest, I'd much rather spend the time I have to play 2K on a daily basis actually playing the game instead of just
Hmm.
spending hours on a market. I think you hit it best where you said this year you're really getting into the fundamentals of 2K, which is our
Hmm.
love of basketball. We're playing the game of basketball.
Yeah.
Before I continue, I also want to add something to my conversation about gameplay before. I think 2K normally has a tendency where like the game will come out, people aren't accustomed to the new game, and people will complain, "Oh, the shooting is too hard, the dribbling is bad, the defense is bad," without letting people adjust to the game. So then they change it, and the game is totally different within the first week. I've so respected that Mike Wayne from the get go was like, "We're not changing anything. Like it's on you guys to adjust. Like if there's a game breaking glitch or whatnot, we'll fix it, but." This is going to be the game for the entire year. So I really like
Hmm.
that. Moving on, I think the Diamond. I keep butchering his name. Help me out. Diamond. Please tell me his
Who,
first name. I
Kyrie?
always no the Roy. It's
Brandon?
Brandon. Oh my god, I can't think of that name always. So the Diamond Brandon Roy. I think that going back to how 2K is incentivizing you to play the game and make MT. I love that they added this Roy where in every season there's going to be a card for beating every single game mode. Do I think I'm going to do this every season? No. This season took a lot out of me completing every single game mode, getting the 50 wins, 100 wins in every game mode. But I really enjoy that there is a purpose. You really feel like there's a purpose to getting stuff done in MyTeam. So I really like that. And I think that, especially in season one, where not everyone has diamonds and amethysts to start out, having a diamond Brandon Roy, which is one of the best cards in the game, I mean, that's awesome that they're really giving stuff to the grinders because people who just like to open packs and spend money, they're probably not going to get them. So it's cool that the no money spent players have the ability to get something that the money spenders probably won't get. Um, Moving on, I think the XP grind is phenomenal this year, and I think even I'm sure Jan would agree because he doesn't have the most time in the world to work on it. I
Hmm.
think that first off, the fact that we can just get XP from playing the game, I don't have to spend time getting like stupid agendas done that are just time consuming and frustrating.
Yeah.
The fact that I can play a game like Domination, which I wanted to do early on to get MT, get that Darren Fox, and just grind, get XP from there is great. I think that you can definitely argue the multipliers. They've been giving a lot out for those who get the pro pass or the higher passes. But
Oh,
I think it
yeah.
just makes the grind a lot less stressful. The fact that you really do not have to play every day and you can get to level 40. I mean, Jan has gone a bunch of weekends now without playing, and he's about to hit it before the season even ends. So I think that's great. And I
Yeah.
think even beyond that, the events they're doing is awesome. I like that every single weekend they're incentivizing you to play a game mode that further gets you along the path of getting to that Roy or
Hmm.
any other rewards. For instance, like one weekend you have to triple threat online, the XP is double. That's where I really capitalized on that because you were getting like, one. I would say you were maxing out a full level after like 2 to 3 wins, which is great. So
Yeah.
this upcoming weekend is co-op. I'm excited to maybe play with Jan in that. But
Yeah.
again, I like that they're really incentivizing you playing the game, and it's like it's an event. You know what I mean? It makes it fun to hop on the game because a lot of other people are also competing for that XP, so it just adds another layer to it. I have a couple more. Let's see where we're at. This is just a given. I mean, I think this might even be my favorite part of MyTeam this year. The card pacing is phenomenal. I
Yeah.
love watching people online or on like Twitter complain, "Oh my god, this is so boring using rubies." It's season one. Like I love this. I have nothing awful to say about this. The fact that I've been using rubies and sapphires and emeralds for the all season, and I've gotten that Roy from playing on. I mean, I don't have a single
Hmm.
amethyst on my team from the marketplace, and the fact that I got my 50 clutch time games, I won my games on unlimited. I'm doing all these different. I triple threat online. So it's such an even playing field that I love, and I really. And now, listen, now they're gonna start moving things along. We see more and more diamonds are coming out, and I'm fine with that. I had my fun in the beginning of the season where I got to use my cards, and I think this is a perfect point where it didn't overstay its welcome. It didn't get
Yeah.
to a point where we're like, all right, like we need cards. I think they somehow mastered this this pacing, because now I'm just ready to get better cards. I think I've used my rubies. They've had their expiration date, and we're there. A couple more things. One, the promos. I think that it's funny because I remember, back in the day when Jan would be on Madden and I would be on 2K, and I was like the optimistic 2K fan, being like, you got to get on 2K. You got to get on 2K. These promos, their packs and whatnot. Jan, who came from Madden, which is like they have incredible promos, he would say like releasing cards into packs, it's not a promo. Like that's fine for the money spenders, mazel tov to them, but that's not great for the general 2K players. And the fact that now every single promo they're allowing you to grind agendas for not from what I've noticed, it's basically every card besides like maybe the best one or two cards, which is perfect because they're letting you grind for rubies, which are the best, which is like a staple in the game right now. So I think later down the road we'll be able to do that for amethyst, diamonds, big diamonds, and I think that's the promo. That's the way to utilize agendas without making it boring. You're like so many of my cards, like that I rubies that I've gotten from those little agendas. I think they're great, and
Definitely.
So, and my last big positive, well, one more thing I want to talk about afterwards, but beyond this list, I think that the formatting, I think they finally hit a good format for 2K where they have a lot. I mean, this is one of the first years where it's really overwhelming with gameplay to do, with triple threat online, offline, clutch time, this and that. So many different ways to experience MyTeam, whether if you like 3-on-3, boom, you got 3-on-3. If you like the 5v5s without, subs, clutch time is your mode. I think that this year, which is something they never have done, and I think it's perfect, they finally are utilizing both a casual and competitive online space to grind. I think that although I haven't played much of the salary cap mode, which I want to really focus on season 2, it's a fun little game where you play your two halves, you get to a set point like in the All-Star game, and that seems to be the more, I think the difficulty is even lower. That's the more casual game you can play. There's rewards you can get, the Amethyst, Victor, all the Depot, I'm sure will be great. Or you can also play unlimited. You can sweat your life away with a bucket of just liquid next to you, just so you can rack up wins and, get to the Roy. So I think even as much as I
And
love
Julius
Supermax,
Randle.
well, you don't have to talk about that, guys. But yeah, no. So I remember as much as I love 2K18 Supermax, it gets a little too much when you have, or even the 12 and 0s. It's like when you're eliminating us to such a super sweaty game mode where you have to win 12 in a row, or you have to get a certain amount of wins in Supermax. The fact that now they have a game mode where you can kind of, you have salary cap restrictions, you can play in a lower difficulty and just explore another avenue. I think 2K has done a great job of giving you so many different game modes to do. Because I think a good way to look at it is if you don't want that Roy, just play whatever game mode you like. Like I said, if you want a more easy triple threat kind of 3-on-3 mode, grind that, and the rewards are good. You know what I mean? So it's up to you. I guess beyond that, I just want to say before I get into the negatives, because like I said, the negatives for me, the impact that it has outweighs the positives. This will be a controversial take, but I think, and I want to highlight the concept, not the execution, but the concept of the player market. I actually like, and bear with me on this, okay? I think that, listen, Jan and I mean, Jan is different because he's switched from MyTeam, whatever. I've played MyTeam pretty much every year since like 2K. I don't even know, 15, 16. It's the same thing every year with the auction house. We're used to it. We've had it. I think that this player market has made the game the freshest it's felt in such a long time. And I think there are a lot of negatives, and a lot of those negatives, like I said, make me not want to play MyTeam or buy players. But there are positives that, for me, make a good difference. For like one, I really like that these players are the prices are set by 2K, so they're not going to be bipolar, whether based on people putting up cards. Like for instance, not too long ago, 2K did a little promo where all you have to do is log into 2K and you can pick up any ruby you want, some including that were in the market house. If this happened last year, if you had, let's say, a ruby, I'm trying to think of a good example, but let's say you have a ruby Carmelo, for instance. You have that ruby Carmelo, you love Carmelo, you spend your hard-earned MT on it, and then boom, the next day 2K releases these packs or locker codes where you can now get that card for free. That price that you just spent on it, it's going to go all the way down. And you feel like, wow, like just because unluck of getting this card a day before this locker code, now I love that it didn't have any effect. The players are at the same price. I think it's also good that, at least in my opinion, the taxes alone and the discounts are just disgusting. But I would honestly say that 2K has set really good prices for these players. based on where we're at in the beginning of the year.
Yeah.
Like and this will sound crazy coming from someone who doesn't spend money, but when there's and I think you can make this comparison to anything. Like if let's say Diamond Curry comes out and you're like, oh, I'm really excited for Curry, and just because of what people are putting him up, the trend is he's only going for like 100 KMT. As much as I'm fine, like it's an easier time for me to get that Curry. The less expensive it is and the less valuable they seem, just because so many people are pulling them, it makes me not want to get the card because it's not special. So I like that in the beginning of the year, Amethysts are 140K. They should be high. They're the best cards in the game. Rubies are 70K. They're the second tier. They should be high in price. You shouldn't be getting, if this was an auction house, I'm sure Amethyst would be 80, 60K. Rubies would be 10, 20K. So I love that these are good prices. They're not too high. They're not too low. The cards feel special when you have them. I'm trying to think about anything else to say. No, but as of now, that's it. I just want to emphasize the concept because, while the concept brought out pros, a lot of how they executed this player market is not good, and they need to change. But overall, I think it did add freshness into this game.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, overall, those are my positives. Like I said, a lot of them. Before I, destroy 2K with the negatives. But hope I'm not speaking for too long. I don't know if you agree, disagree, whatnot. But I'll give the floor to you now.
Yeah, I mean, I just want to just briefly touch on a couple of things. I think a lot of what you shared is resonated in what I would have said. So I'm really not going to harp on too much. I just want to touch on a couple of things. As Harry said, as Harry said, I'm a more casual player, at least so far to start in my team. And I've still really enjoyed it. Harry mentioned earlier that I haven't really played all that much, and I'm currently level 35 in my team, and I have not played really much part at all outside of the very first couple of days of the game coming out, over 3 weeks ago now. And so even though I've gotten a bunch of the double XP multipliers for my career, or I guess it's really for my part, I've not had to use any of those. I've been able to just use the MyTeam double XP multipliers that you get from the $10 Pro Pass. That's the only money I've put into the game outside of the pre-order, and I'm at level 35 and I'm playing relatively comfortably. I mean, I just completed Domination a day or two ago. I just got the Ruby De'Aaron Fox, and I think he's great. One of my favorite cards, and I'm sure he's one of Harry's favorites as well. But you don't really have to grind the game all that much. I think it helps that, to Harry's point, you don't have to spend all this time on the auction house sniping because there is no auction house now. Like, in a way, they're forcing you to play the game, which is something that when Harry and I did our initial podcast about 2K24 a few weeks ago, we covered, saying that we thought this would actually be healthy for the game's player base, because now you're not gonna, if you're an auction house grinder, and I used to snipe a lot too, so I'm not trying to besmirch your name if you're watching this and you like to work the auction house in previous 2Ks. I get it, but I think there came a point for me where I personally found that I was so stingy with my MT, and because of that my team was so behind the meta that I wouldn't want to play online. So I found myself spending more time on the auction house, grinding out my MT, and then maybe eventually buying player items when the game was basically dead. Now I'm forced to play the game from jump, and even if I'm not playing that much online, like I did play my first salary cap earlier this week, I played a number of TTO games, although not now that the gauntlet's happening, which we'll talk about a little bit later. It's forcing me to play the game, and I really like that. To Harry's pacing point, not only are we seeing a lot of these emeralds, sapphires, and rubies, especially these rubies in online play, still very relevant. What I really like also is we haven't really seen any players, and maybe this is not the right terminology that I'm using here, Harry, so please correct me if I'm wrong, but we haven't really seen like any demigods. We haven't seen, for example, that really tall point guard come out that's going to be a problem. They could have done that by making that Amethyst Magic Johnson card that you get at level 35 a point guard, but instead they made it a center, and I'm okay with that. Because in the right hands, that Magic Johnson card could be really, really good, even at center. And what that does is when you hit level 40 and you get that Diamond Kyrie Irving, or even if you haven't hit level 40 and you're just grinding out Domination, when you get that Ruby De'Aaron Fox, he's not going to be a total disaster. Something that my team just did today, which I don't really necessarily love because of the timing of them doing it, because now if you wanted to get this card because of the position switch, you're kind of SOL. But they just changed the Amethyst Victor Oladipo's position eligibility to include point guard, which is really nice because if that Victor Oladipo had dropped as a shooting guard small forward, you'd be forced to play him at shooting guard because he's 6'4", and he'd probably be not even top 5 at that position, which is really unfortunate. But now Victor Oladipo can be played at point guard and he'll be viable. So that's really nice. So on top of the pacing, just the way that they're, I guess, limiting the height on certain positions so that you don't have some godly card. We've yet to get a Victor Wembanyama card that's not his, core gold card. Trying to see if there's anything else that I wanted to add on top of what you've said here, Harry. No, I like everything. I mean, the MT earning has been really, really nice. I think if you play the game, MT wise, you get rewarded. But the tricky thing is going to come down to when do you spend your MT. And I personally think maybe that's a solid segue to throw it back to you, Harry, as you now dive into what some of the cons, what are some of your negatives about MyTeam for you so far with 14 or 13 days left in season 1.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, this main con has kind of been making me really not want to play my team as much as I did early on. And I mean, to really understand it, you got to really get that. The whole point of my team is to build your fantasy team, your lineup, and make it the best it can be. And like Jan, I've also struggled with not buying cards and keeping my MT for as long as I could, which I really wanted to kind of shape this year and keep up with the meta. But when you have a 60% tax that you are losing out on if you want to resell a player, that scares me from buying any player. I mean, 10% it was like the norm, on the auction house. You'd sell your card, you would lose 10%, which is fine. They need that so inflation wouldn't happen to prevent people from buying a card for 500, selling it for 550, making MT. Like, that's not good. So, but I think 60% is ridiculous. I mean, there's no benefit to be had there. It only has cons. And I think you've made the point before where, if I get a card and I don't like his dribbling for some reason, or I don't like his release, now I have to lose 60% and I just wasted all that MT. I mean, it's ridiculous. And I think the fact that it's been nonstop complaining the entire year and 2K has yet to say anything about it, I think is, that it's absurd. Like, we spend money on this game and they expect a lot of people to spend even more money with the passes and packs and players and whatnot. And this is how they're treating us. The fact that they can't just acknowledge it or say, we're going to fix it or we're working on it. Like, that's unacceptable because now I don't want to buy cards. And like you said, you really kind of need to in a good way. Like, you should have to buy cards to keep up with gameplay now that we're not sniping to make our MT. But I'm like definitely afraid to buy cards because of that. And I thought to myself, well, the one saving grace will be in 3 weeks when the prices drop. But for them to only drop by 5% is just, it's awful. Like, the fact that, it's like, why buy cards? You know what I mean? It's like, I'm not only am I worried about the tax, but now I'm like, why wait 3 weeks for it to drop 5%? And yes, you can make the argument that maybe they're doing that for now because, dropping an amethyst, which is 140K now, by 20-30% 3 weeks in, like, that's not realistic. But just say something then. Just make the point, okay, this is how it's going to be for now, and you'll see bigger drops in the future. Like, to me, that needs to be said. Because if not, like, I'm going to be very unmotivated to get cards or really play the game at all. As much as I love so many things about it, and I talked about the positives all day, if I'm worried to buy my cards and I want to keep the same lineup, like, it's just not going to be fun. So that's a big problem to me. And to go into one more big problem, so you're dealing with this, the tax, the low discounts that they're doing, and the fact that this year they're really, like, every great card that they're going to release, whether a Diamond Curry, Diamond KD, any player, they're going to be behind lock sets where you have to complete a bunch of different sets to get the player. That's unacceptable. I think. And listen, yes, we're making MT playing this game, but this is the most pay-to-win structure 2K has ever had. And I normally hate the complaints that it's pay-to-win because you can't really expect a budget player to have the best cards in the game. That's just not what a card collecting mode will do for you. Yes, down the road you'll be able to get them, but as soon as they come out, it's not realistic. But the fact that you're locking in these cards and making them so unattainable, like, if you're not spending money on this game, like, it's just not exciting. Like, why get excited over a Diamond Curry coming out when you have to complete so many sets to get to him and lose so much MT? And not only now, you can't even get any discount or any tax because you're locking those cards. You can't make any MT. So, like, that's that's just upsetting to me. Like I think that, if there was ever a clear sign of 2K being paid to win and not caring about the fan base of no money spent players, it would be that. Because cause think about it, now I'm not excited to buy players because I don't want to lose tax. Because even if I do like the card, knowing that if I do sell them down the road for a replacement, I'm losing so much MP. And keeping that in with the fact that now I have to do all these sets to get the best players in the game, like it's like why should I want to play the game to get a better team? So that's a big problem. And if they don't fix it, if they don't justify it, like as much as I love things that they're doing in MyTeam, like that to me is unfortunately I don't know the right word. That's a detriment to me, like not wanting to play it. You know?
Yeah, I mean, it's a huge deal because to your point, like for example, we had an Anthony Davis that dropped, and I'm going to see if I can be a pro streamer, YouTuber here. I'm going to quickly flash over to what I'm showing right now on my screen, which is my NBA 2K MyTeam screen. So, for example, Harry just touched on all these big name players coming out as the collection rewards, and you can see right here, this Luka Doncic came out today or yesterday as part of the Dunktober set. And if I wanted to buy every player in the set, first of all, to Harry's pay to win point, they have a buy all option, literally by pressing one button. I press buy all and it shows for over 355,000 VC, which I don't even want to think about how much money that is. I mean, Harry, if you know, I mean, I guess I can press X and it'll show me. So 355K.
Probably 90, right?
It's probably a little under 90, or maybe, actually, no, maybe roughly 90.
I think it is
because 100 will get you 450K. So you're spending, we'll say 85 to 90. I would say. Yeah. So that's a lot of money to be spending on this Diamond Luka card, and a lot of people on Twitter were bashing this card. If Diamond Luka, or we'll just say if Luka Doncic is one of your favorite cards, and he has a pretty big following, right? He's one of the biggest young superstars in the NBA today. If you spent $90 on this set just for that Luka Doncic card, and he ends up playing really poorly for you because you didn't put the time in to take, look on Twitter and see, his release sucks and stuff like that. I guess this example isn't as good because it's a collection lock-in, but we'll go to a different player. But the fact that like you could spend $90 and have a player that you don't like because his animations aren't in your favor is a big detriment. And then to Harry's point, let's talk about, like, we'll say Karl Towns. Like, I really like Karl Towns. I watched Karl play high school ball in New Jersey. If I wanted to add this Karl Towns to my team and I paid 140K for him right now, and I take him to a game and he sucks and I want to sell him 10 minutes later because I rage quit, I'm going to lose, like 90K on him? Because the quick sell on him, I think, will be 56,000. So I'm losing, what was that, 84K? That's ludicrous. That is way too much. They need to find a way to, first of all, to Harry's point, give us a way to maybe test these players. I've been thinking about this idea all week. Yep. What I would love for them to do, and maybe this is not that feasible, but let's say you go and you buy a player item, right? Maybe for like the first hour, you can't take him into online play. You can only use him in offline play. Because if you could bring him into online play, then you could abuse this. But for that first hour, you can quick sell that player back for the exact amount of MT that you paid for him if you don't like him. That way, if I get, like, let's say I get DeMar DeRozan and I don't like his release, I can return him for a full refund as long as I get it done within the hour. Kind of like if you were to go and buy something off of, like, Amazon, for example, and they give you a 14-day window to return it. And then on the 15th day, you're screwed. I would love that.
You know what?
What?
Yeah, I was gonna say, you know what? I think that's a good idea. Even at a minimum, let us go into freestyle with the card and test it. Not even, you don't have to buy them. Just let us go shoot around.
Oh, that's great. Yeah.
If they're going to be this stingy and this awful with taxes and the reduction in prices and whatnot, that's the least they can do. The least they can do to help us out, and let us, for someone like me who likes dribbling, let me test out the dribbling with the card. Let me test out the shooting form with the card. Least they can do. Like, that should have been a guarantee if this is how they want to structure their game.
Exactly. Sorry, the Discord stream was lagging a bit, so I'm back on the coffee screen there. But another big thing, which I don't know if you guys could see it there on the screen when I had that little bit of a glitch issue there on the screen, but players like this, like Ruby Serge Ibaka, right? Like, I've always enjoyed using Serge Ibaka, and maybe he ends up being 63K in NBA 2K23 when there was an auction house. Um, but again, the fact that like you lose 60% on your initial investment immediately. I mean, these things are depreciating in value more quickly than like you buying a new car. It should not be like that. It should not be that steep of an investment, because what this is promoting is either it's promoting a few things. It's promoting that you either are okay with buying all these players and then spending money or a ridiculous amount of time grinding to get other players and recoup that VC or MT that you're immediately losing upon purchasing a card. Or what it's doing is it's forcing people like Harry and I, who were basically low money spent, if not no money spent, right? Harry got the Pro Pass after he hit level 40. I got the Pro Pass on day one, basically, of playing NBA 2K24. But besides that, we've not put any money in. And so for people like us, I mean, I'm not even at 400K. Harry's sitting at a million MT. Even for a guy who has a million MT like Harry, it's punishing him if he wants to go and add a guy like Anthony Davis, who right now has so much viability because you're playing against guys like Shaq, who's a monster as a collection reward card, and that AD himself is really, really good. I think if you look at the average top tier team of a TTO team, if you're trying to grind for that diamond Chris Bosh right now, Anthony Davis is probably the average starter at the power forward center position.
Yep.
In TTO.
Yeah.
He's that good. But what's going to happen when we get a Kristaps Porzingis maybe that has not 25 speed and is serviceable to be played at the power forward or center spot, and you want to go and add him? Well, you're going to immediately lose all of your value on that AD card. And if you want to sell that AD card before the Porzingis drops, because if you want to come and give me the argument of, oh, well, if they reveal the Porzingis on Twitter, well, then naturally AD's price would drop. Yeah, but what if you just got bored of AD and you wanted to save up money because you were anticipating a big patch drop, a big market drop to come? Well, it doesn't really matter when you sell your AD, because you're going to be getting chump change for him, whether you sell him a second after you buy him, or 2 weeks and 6 days, because we're going to lose 5K after those 3 weeks pass. Doesn't matter. You're going to be losing a lot of MT. So I hate that the price point, the cost of entry to getting these cards, to Harry's point, very fair. I think AD for 140K is a great value. But 140K in this year's MyTeam is different than 140K in last year's MyTeam, because you're losing so much on the quick sell value.
Yeah,
it's quite
and also
tragic.
One more thing,
Yeah,
like to emphasize why I'm so frustrated is, like I said, I'm over a million MT. Like, I have a lot of MT, and I shouldn't be worried about spending it. But also, Jan and I, who are big snipers, whether Madden 2K, like we kind of have it installed in our brain, like, to make as much profit as we can and to not lose MT. With how bad these taxes are there, and I'll be honest, this is just me being serious to show where I'm at. There's no player in the world that even if I love using Curry, I love using Kevin Durant, I love using Darren, but whatever card it is, there is no card that I would be okay with losing that much MT from the get-go. There just isn't. Like, I don't want to spend MT, because even if I love the card and that's my card all year, the idea that I've lost all that profit, it just doesn't sit well with me. So I don't know, like, that's the thing. Like, yes, there are a ton of positives, and I discussed it, but I don't know. I don't have any really fuel to play my team anymore, because I don't want, because there's no card that's worth buying for me. And there won't ever be a card that I'm okay with losing 80, 100K, and it'll be even more when cards are more expensive.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's tough. Like, I want to enjoy the game, and this is preventing me from doing so.
Yeah, I mean, it's a really big issue. It's an issue that I wonder if 2K will ever address, if they will ever amend, because right now it's really tough to, have the motivation to want to go out and buy any of these players. And, I will say the one complaint, because I think that complaint that Harry and I have about the player market is shared, I would say, universally amongst everyone who's playing the MyTeam game mode right now. But I think another issue that I think a lot of people are hyping up that I don't really see as being that crazy of a deal. Like we talked about, like the Luka being very expensive at $90. The reason why I was a little hesitant to even bring up that point is because I do think that while I have a bigger issue with the names of the players being chosen for these collection rewards, I still think the price point is roughly what you would have been paying. Maybe if you engaged in buying MT from a third party, it would be different. But if you were buying VC and you're trying to rip packs or you're trying to like,
Yes.
get MT from that, I really think all in all, these players are going to end up costing you the exact same. So if you were someone that
Well, yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Go.
Just
All
to
I was
say
gonna
one
say was
thing,
I think it doesn't hurt if you want to do that because then you're not really quick selling the players, right? You have all the players locked in. You're not gonna quick sell them. But the fact that you have to basically quit or lock in a set for you to get a good player, and then you can feel good about your investment because you weren't gonna quick sell those other players anyways. It's a really crappy place to be in.
No, yeah, I was gonna say I was also gonna. I thought you were gonna disagree with this, so I was gonna make the point. But this doesn't affect me at all. I'm not gonna spend money on this game other than on my team, other than getting the pro pass.
Yeah.
But the people don't realize it sounds like a lot of money, $70 for a player. That sounds like a lot, but let's think about other 2Ks where if you $70 is like a box pretty much on my team. What are odds you're gonna pull the best like a Diamond Luca or whatever in 1 or 2 boxes? You're probably gonna have to spend hundreds to get this player. I think people just don't like it's. I just hearing it, it's a connotation. $70 to get a player. Like last year, opening packs, they would be lucky if they pulled a card in $70, and it's the hard truth of packs. So I just find it funny people complaining because it's not like it doesn't affect me, but these aren't bad prices, and in fact, they're better than any previous year in my opinion.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. I think I'm now showing my screen again. To that point, I wanted to bring up a tweet that got some traction on Ty Debo's Twitter page. He put out this tweet that you can see right here about how many games you have to play in either unlimited, salary cap, or TT offline to grind for that Kevin Durant. And yeah, if you look at this just on the surface, this looks like a absolutely obscene number of games to play. But I think in previous MyTeams, when you would have players that would be, or collection rewards that would be very difficult to get, you would usually see a lot of players in that collection be relatively cheap, like pack trash, pack fodder. But I remember the flashy term that people used to use in previous MyTeams for that one, maybe 2 players who were very, very expensive because the rest of the cards were cheap because the collection reward was good, was gatekeeper. There used to be one gatekeeper player per set, and correct me if I'm wrong, Harry, that would be very, very expensive, maybe way too expensive, maybe because it was a very rare card and it was really tough to get, and for that reason, that card became crazy expensive. So if you wanted to go and get, let's say, a Diamond KD, if he was a collection reward last year, I don't exactly remember who was in Diamond. Oh wait, Diamond KD's not even fully out yet because we have all the different legendary paths or whatever they're called. No, the perfect build set, right? We have all these different perfect build sets that are coming out. If there were a couple of gatekeepers in here, then it may have ended up being close to 1.1 million to complete the Kevin Durant set last year as well. So I feel like this tweet in context isn't as bad. Like all this is saying is you need to basically grind up to get 1.1 million MT if you want to go and get that Kevin Durant. So like, yeah, does that suck? Yeah, but Kevin Durant is going to be like a very exclusive collection reward. So like,
Yeah,
you should know that going in, you know?
and also I think that I made the point before, and this is coming from a no money spent player. 2K would be dumb to release a. Let's forget the sets. 2K would be dumb to release a card in packs, like let's say Diamond KD was in packs. It would not be a smart business move. In fact, it would be a very stupid business move if it was very accessible for grinders to get that card in a matter of a week or two. Like, this is just not realistic. It's not like that in Madden or 2K. Like, it's just not, like, you can't expect, I think that's like a weird thing where MyTeam, where they expect no money spent players to be able to get the best cards in the game routinely. Like, that's just not, it's not what's going to happen. And it's not even smart to be no money spent because you're better, especially with the auction house, it'd be fun to wait for the prices to drop. But I think these are just weird things where it's like, you shouldn't be able to just grind to get the Diamond KD, at least in my opinion, when it first comes out. That wouldn't be smart for 2K. It wouldn't make sense.
Definitely.
Like, why spend tax at that point?
Definitely. Are there any other negatives you want to touch on? Because if not, I wanted to get to a couple things that came out this week. So anything else you want to touch on when it comes to the negatives?
No, I think I hit the nail in the coffin.
Yeah.
Actually, I'll say one more thing.
Okay.
And this is a criticism towards the MyTeam developers. I noticed, like, because now that I've been kind of getting into my career in Park, because I really want to play a lot of Park down the 2K road, I noticed that, like, Mike Wang, the developer for for the gameplay and all that stuff, he is very on the ball when it comes to communications. If there's a glitch in the game, you already know Mike Wang is going to be on Twitter saying, all right, we're working on this, or this is the problem, or we're keeping it, this will, or even the opposite. Like, people complained about fixing or changing stuff in the game. He said it's going to pretty much be like this all year. He's on Twitter. He's answering. He's being a direct line. There is no one like that on my team, and that's unacceptable. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The fact that there hasn't been a single positive thing about this, about the taxes and discounts, and they haven't said any, like, that just blows my. It's like, how do you not? It's just, and I'm not even trying to be so negative, but it's like, how do you not care enough about your game and how people perceive it that you can't even tweet even this is how it is all year? Just say something so at least we know, because I don't want, because even with the 3 week thing, I still don't. I'm not fully sure if it will be 5% all year, or if it was only like
Yeah.
this in the beginning. So
Yeah.
now I don't. Now I feel like I have to wait another 3 weeks, almost a month, to buy cards, even just to see what these productions are like. Like, it's a problem. They need to step up, because it's not. I don't like it.
Yeah, communication is a really big issue. It's one thing that I always appreciated having back when I used to play Madden Ultimate Team, when we used to have Kralo as a community manager for that game. And even after he left, even if there wasn't like one very like clear-cut manager, Madden still has this like Madden help page that whenever there's like an issue or a glitch, they will comment on that glitch, and then they will put out another tweet once the issue's been rectified saying what the make right is going to be. And you will never see that. Like, the only action you ever really see from 2K is if you engage in a glitch. Even if it's on accident, you're probably going to get banned, which is not communication. That's just action, and I don't feel like that's fair action. So I'm totally with Harry, and I think I will at least ask you, Harry, at the very end of this podcast, maybe after this segment, about what you'd like to see in my team going forward, as we are basically at the final 2 weeks of season 1. But I want to just quickly talk about the gauntlet that came out first. Came out on Wednesday, a couple of days ago, from the time of this recording. The gauntlet involved you having to play 15 games of TT Online and winning those 15 games consecutively to get a Diamond 92 overall Chris Bosh, who looks like a very, very well-rated card. I do want to say, like, if you were to get the card, he's going to be very good for you, hopefully for a very long time. But 15 in a row seems very, very aggressive. I want to just quickly get my thoughts out, and then Harry, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. I think there are a couple of ways that 2K could have gone about this. First of all, I do really like that this concept is in the game. I think this is healthy for the game, giving us a reward that is purely based off of skill and not RNG is healthy. That idea is very good, and I would like to see it implemented more so going forward. And I'm coming from the perspective of someone who I know I'm not going to get that card. Even if they were to make the challenge easier, if they were to make it, you need to win 15 of 20 triple threat online games, which is an idea I thought about. That'll lead to more people getting him, and maybe I wouldn't be as lucky, maybe I wouldn't get him, but I would have a better shot of going to get it. I think 15 in a row, there's still that chance that you get lagged out or something happens, unfortunately, either with your internet or with the servers, and then you have to restart from scratch. Something else I would have liked to have seen, even if you keep it as 15-0, give us incremental rewards. That's, I think, the solution I wanted the most, which is maybe like at 5 wins, you get a ruby, and at 10, you get an amethyst, or maybe at 12, you get an amethyst, and at 10, you get a ruby, and 5, you get a sapphire. But give us something for us as we're working our way up, because I think 15-0 is very difficult, and the people that have gotten them, because I've seen a number of people that do have them on Twitter and the MyTeam subreddit. I tip my hat to you. Congratulations. But I think there should be something else in there for the people who maybe aren't as skilled, but want to engage in TT Online and want to at least have a shot. Because if you're shooting for the moon and you can't get it, if you can, fall upon the stars and get at least a ruby, then it'll make it feel like it was worth your time, instead of you spending 2 hours in TT Online just to not get the Bosh, and all you have to show for it is the MT that you got and the ball drops along the way. What are your thoughts on the Gauntlet Challenge, Harry?
Yeah, no, I don't think I could have. We could have agreed even more. Like, I think you totally hit the nail on the coffin. I think for starters, the idea is great. I mean, the fact that they're giving people in my team something new to talk about, just something new in that season that that people can stream, people can watch, people can, anticipate. I think it's an awesome idea, and I really hope they do more stuff like this, especially a card like Diamond Bosch, who, like diamonds are like the best cards in the game. So if you get that Bosch, he'll be on the team for at least another season or two. So
Yeah.
I really like that. On the other hand, I agree with all your points. I think there needs to be more stuff that you can get just for doing it along the way, so you don't feel like
Yeah.
you wasted your time. If you get to 14 wins and you lose, at least, all right, I gained a good ruby and amethyst. I think 15 wins on triple threat a bit too much. I think honestly, if it was online, a 5v5 15 in a row, I think that would surprisingly be more compatible because I think there's more skill in winning games online than playing triple threat, where it can be very RNG. But it's 3-on-3, so really anything could happen. So I do think I think if it was 15 out of 20, like you said, I don't think I could have found a better number. I think that would have been perfect because listen, 15 or sorry, yeah, going 15 and whatever and 5, like that's pretty impressive. So I think they need to do that because this reminded me of like 12-0 and unlimited. And if anything, this was worse because it was more wins, but it's a bit too much. I mean, even me, like I told Jan as a joke, and I kind of believe it. I think I am good enough at 2K where like I could do it, but man,
Yeah, it's
I
not
just
worth your sanity.
it's just I would get so angry playing that, and I would just rather not do that. As much as I think Bosch is a great card, and his badges are great, his stats are great. I like that they're rewarding you with the nobody spent players, or not even that, but rewarding the people who grind to get these cards. But I just don't have the. Maybe a couple of years ago I would have, but now I'm all right not getting that card. But if it was 15-5, I would have said let's do it. You're making it great. So I think this is something that if hopefully what I want to see more in my team is leading on to the next topic. I hope that 2K takes these valid criticisms and improves because this could be an awesome thing that they do a few times a season if done right. And if they just do these simple little tweaks, I think that it's really fun and a great, like I said, good way to keep people talking, keep people from a new thing on my team. It's not just the same. You know what you're doing. It's a new kind of thing they're adding.
Yeah, definitely. I think this is something that, if we're going to be, very critical towards 2K's flaws with my team in season 1, and as Harry pointed out, there are a lot of flaws in season 1, and those flaws outweigh the positives of the pros of season 1 for him and probably for a lot of other people. I think we do need to celebrate their victories even when they're not big ones. Like this gauntlet challenge is a really positive thing, even if it's not for everyone. And I'm trying to find ways to make it for everyone by either making it easier by making it 15-5, for example, or I honestly think the best option is the latter of the two that I presented, which was give us incremental rewards so that way maybe you can't get to 15 wins, and let's say your run caps out at 12, your best run, at least you have an amethyst to show for it. It's like a new amethyst, and it's not like an amethyst that's in the game. It's like an amethyst that's like exclusive to the gauntlet because that Chris Bosch is exclusive to the gauntlet. So I think that would be really great. And something else I think is really nice that I wish my team would do more of, and I'm going to try to hopefully switch the screen over to this now. With the Dunktober set coming out this week, my team released a number of objectives that, when you complete them, will give you an equal chance pack of, I think, every single tier. So gold, emerald, sapphire, ruby, and even an amethyst for Dunktober Part 5. I'm going to be trying to grind these out on stream, twitch.tv/BrothCindy, this coming Sunday, October 8th. That's my hope. We'll see if I can actually do it. But it's really cool that, I mean, at least on the surface, none of these really seem to be all that difficult. I mean, maybe for Dunktober Part 5, I can't tell right now how many salary cap wins I need. But that seems to be the real online like win requirement that you need because it's unlimited or domination wins otherwise. And then the 20 multiplayer dunks, you can do that in TT Online or whatever you want. I know it's going to be kind of sweaty. You can do it in salary cap and route to you getting all those wins. And the amethyst and up points is probably an offline thing too. So it looks like a pretty easy way to get one of the amethysts. And the amethysts don't look awful to me. You have an amethyst John Morant, an amethyst DeMar DeRozan, and a Karl Anthony Towns. I would love to have the Karl. That DeMar I heard has a really nasty release. It's probably nasty with the fading middies, which it looks to be really, really popular in TT Online. And that John Morant has 95 speed. And he's probably holding a gun when he's on the court for you. So you're not going to lose with him at your point guard spot. So we need more agendas like this, I think, where we can grind. Because if you're gonna have a player market and we're gonna have the tax being what it is, and the salary decreases or the price decreases being 5%, maybe continuing on for the rest of the year in my team, we need ways to grind for players, and this is, I think, a good step towards that. Are you gonna be engaging in this Dunktober agenda at all, Harry? Do you have any thoughts on it?
Yeah, definitely. I think it's awesome. I think it's another good way to reward people who want to play the game. I think also to piggyback, another thing I'm surprised we didn't talk about, but I guess we both didn't really do it that much, so it didn't wasn't really on our minds. But what they did with was it Amethyst? Was it Julius Irving that you could get or not? Dr. J. Who was
Oh,
it?
Clyde
That you
Drexler. Clyde.
Yes, Clyde. I think 2K doing stuff like that where you can play the game and get these really good amethyst rewards from doing like and the agendas they really have been doing a good job without super loading them, making them so like get 2,000 points and unlimited. You know what I mean? They're all very easy, basic. You can really probably get them done in like a day.
Yeah.
So if listen for a positive, 2K. I hope they really keep up with stuff like this because I think it's an awesome way to help people get these good cards without the fear of buying players and losing MP in the long run.
Yeah, I completely agree. I would love to see more of those grinds, especially because, of course, the weekend that I go away for a wedding and have an extended weekend is the week that they drop that. So I'm not able to get the Clyde Drexler or the Draymond, which is fine. Ultimately, it's totally fine. But I like that they're doing that stuff. Like, I don't expect to be able to engage with all the content that they provide. I wish they would provide a little more of a time limit than just a week for some of these things. Like the agenda that we have this week for the Dunktober, equal chance packs, that being a week, I'm okay with because they're giving you everything at the start of the week. But the fact that we had basically 24 hours to try and get each one of, those players by the time Friday came around, and then they dropped a whole set of other agendas if you wanted to get the Draymond Green, like getting a triple double amongst other agendas, and you basically had 2 days to go and grind for that. I was not a huge fan of that, but again, the concept is great. Just like with the gauntlet, the concept is great. Well, I don't love the execution. I still see what they're going for, and I really, really like that. So I'm hopeful that they'll continue doing things like that. And on that note, Harry, I'd like to ask you. I was going to ask you like if you had like a top three of things you'd like to see next season in my team, but I think I want to first ask what is the thing that you're most looking forward to hopefully seeing in my team season two, and maybe just some general things that you're looking forward to hopefully seeing improve. But like your top favorite, like your number one favorite, and then maybe some other smaller things you'd like to see improved upon as we encroach on season two.
Yeah, definitely. I think before that, I also want to preface. I think maybe if we were to do another podcast like this, probably to start off with the negatives so we can end it on the positives because I don't want people to be like, oh, I'm so negative, whatever. Listen, like, go back to the beginning of the podcast. I listed like 10, whatever amount of things I really enjoy about my team. I think that they're doing a lot of things right,
Yeah, and
even if they
also,
are
I
doing
just want to. I'm
something.
sorry to interrupt, Harry. I just want to quickly say that yes, we started with the positives, and I think if anything, if you're going to be upset with us for having a lot more negative to say than positive, I would say the average YouTuber who's covering my team and putting out my team content, they've been predominantly negative
Yeah,
in season one. So at least we're out there pushing some positive, because there is still plenty of positive. I'm still enjoying playing my team. I just wish I could be enjoying it more because of reasons that we shared earlier on the podcast. And I'm sure Harry, you agree with that same sentiment. We're more positive, I think, than than the consensus when it comes to my team content creators.
yeah. Like I really think that if this market thing wasn't such a big deal with the taxes and the reduction in prices and the sets. I think this could be argued as like with if everything wasn't a problem, this could be argued as one of the best 2Ks in my team of all time. Like the game, I think they really hit the gameplay is amazing this year. I think even just playing the game is fun, and I think if those little complaints were big complaints, but if those like few things were good. I think this can make the case as one of the best my teams ever. So listen, just keep that in mind. So even if we are bashing these things that are frustrating, so many positives. Like go back to the beginning of the video. There are a lot of stuff that I'm hyping up, but
Definitely.
things that are bad. Things what do I want to see in season two? I
Yeah.
really just want to see 2K admit their fault that although there are positives to the player market, they didn't go about it the right way. Fixing the tax, saying we're going to drop it down to 10%, like it should have been. And now is actually saying what their plans are for this 3 week reduction in price, so we know what it is. If it's going to be 5% all year, or if it's going to change based on the cards. So listen, I think they need to do a better job communicating and just admitting that there's better ways. And if the whole community is universally upset about something, maybe they should fix it. But good things that I want to see them do more of. Let's see. I think all these events that you can do to get really good cards of the game. That's something I'd love to continue and do a lot more. I think one positive I forgot to add in the beginning. I think they've done a great job of giving out good rewards for beating these game modes. I think normally 2K has a tendency to, you'll play for like Joe Schmo for beating domination. You've never heard of the guy, but you're like, all right, I guess that's a reward.
Mm-hmm.
They'll do that just obviously. So they can put cards out in packs, like the big names. Some of these cards that I've gotten in this mode are phenomenal. De'Aaron Fox, I haven't, hyped him up enough. I mean, the dribbling is incredible. He's one of my favorite cards I've ever used in 2K, and he's only a Ruby, so really enjoyed that. You get a Bowens. I don't remember even where. He's really good. Wally is great. I'll be honest, hate him in real life. I think he's, he can sell his fat for soap. But Julius Randle, I think he's a nice little power forward you can have on your team that can knock some threes down. He's a good point forward. So he's good. Like, there's hardly any card that I got from all the game modes that I'm like, that card is kind of useless. So, and that and the token market players are great. The season cards are great, like the Magic that you get that card. So I really hope that 2K continues this format and makes it so you're excited to play these game modes. Because I don't know if I will be playing every game mode like I did in season one, but I'd love to see a game like Triple Threat and say, oh, like that card would be fun to have on my team. I'm going to grind that. If I like that, you're grinding it for players that you want to have on your team that will be on your team for a while. So that's good. I'm trying to think about anything else. Because I think the way they've been going about everything else besides the player market has been fantastic. MT rewards, I assume that's going to still be great. So as long as they're doing that, they're they're keeping the games balanced. The gameplay doesn't change much. There really isn't much I think they really have to do besides address the player market issues. And I think if I were going to say one more thing, it's just, what was I going to say? Oh my god, I lost my thought. Maybe I'll remember it down the road. But so I think those are pretty much the main things that they have to really do going forward.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree, and I think everyone else will agree. I think the player market is the biggest issue right now in MyTeam. It's really tough to have a MyTeam. You can't even buy the players that you want, not because you can't afford them, but because you're afraid of losing all that MT once you do buy them. So that has to be rectified, I think, immediately. I mean, if it was done before season 2, that would be great. But if not, hopefully in season 2, we get something. I know usually MyTeam in general is a little more on the dead side anyways up until the season starts. I feel like it really starts to heat up around like November, December anyways. And so for that reason, I'm kind of okay with them maybe testing the water, seeing what us as their consumers are enjoying, what we're not enjoying.
Mm-hmm.
And hopefully, I mean, it's going to be really difficult because I've seen a number of people play TT Online for the Gauntlet, and I've seen way too many people with the Diamond Shaq, the Diamond Steph Curry, which tells me that people are still happy to spend a ton of money on this game. And all that's going to do is incentivize 2K to continue to engage in these pay-to-win greedy tactics, which I don't really necessarily love. The other thing I would like to see is just I want more things for us to grind, like what we're getting right now. I would love to see that on a more consistent basis. Like, I think maybe it was just this week, but I feel like we stopped getting grindable Tuesday content that was like us being able to get basically the entire set just from grinding. I'd love to see that come back. Things like we're getting today, like I would love to see what we got with the Dunktober set, where we have an equal chance pack of every single tier. I would love to see that maybe once or twice, every couple of weeks. And I'd love for us to at least be able to grind for, a good number of players throughout the week. Because again, we don't have the ability to go and buy players for really, really cheap because 2K is controlling the auction house. So if you're going to give us those prices, at least give us the opportunity to grind for these players. And then something that I'd like to see is I just feel like we get too many unsellable rewards. Like we get so many unsellable Series 1 packs. I was looking at all the unlimited rewards, and every reward I believe is an unsellable card. Like all the deluxe boxes that you get, the 2K Day deluxe box, all those are unsellable, and there is really no selling. It's just quick sell. So all unsellable means is you're gonna get hosed on the quick sell value even more than we're already getting hosed. So, like I saw someone pull like a duplicate unsellable Drazen Petrovic on Reddit the other day, and he had to quick sell it for 800 MT. That's insane. Like we're already dealing with a lot of like MT issues while we're grinding and being able to gain a lot of MT from grinding because of the the massive disparity in purchase point versus quick sell point, that 60% tax. Us losing out on MT that we could be getting from quick selling players, like people shouldn't be punished for pulling a duplicate Amethyst just because it's an unsellable card. I hate that. So I'd like to see more sellable packs, because all that does is just give us a little bit more MT, which I think helps, because giving us more MT is not going to inflate the market. There's no auction house. The market will not be inflated because of us. It'll be inflated because of what 2K does. So I just want us to have the ability to, if you're playing online games, and this is coming from someone that's not even playing online like that, but if you're going to be that sick in the head that you want to grind unlimited, you should be rewarded for that if you're winning games. And I'd like to see that on top of the player market. But to Harry's point, the player market is the number one main issue that I think has to be resolved. And I guess in conclusion, I just want to kind of echo your last sentiment there. There's a lot here that I think Harry and I do like. And if it was an absolutely disgusting game, like if we had the same opinions as everyone else does in the MyTeam community, who's so negative and is just getting on, their YouTube every single day and putting out a new video every 1 to 2 days, just finding a new reason to bash the game and titling it like "My team is dead," "My team is not going to last," "My team's pay to win," all these things. If we really felt like that is the only thing that's going on for my team, I don't think either of us would be playing the game right now. But we still are, because there are still some positives. And all we're saying is we're hoping that my team will maybe even it out a little bit. Take all those negatives that Harry has, I have, everyone else has, and at least try to even it a little bit so that we can hopefully see a more enjoyable overall experience. And hopefully then the game will be in a much healthier state. Do you have any other closing thoughts, Harry, besides what you shared before?
Yeah, I'll add one more quick little thing that I'd like to see improved. And listen, I like competition more than the next guy. But minor note, having to win all-time domination by 15 points on Hall of Fame difficulty with rubies and whatnot against Amethyst and Diamond is, like, I'm going to be honest, it's impossible. Like, I had a fairly easy time winning domination, the current one, but all-time, I mean, Hall of Fame is like, they'll have contested shots on you, you could have, an elephant in your face. They're gonna make it. So it's like they really have to, like, they gotta. I don't mind Hall of Fame, but we shouldn't have to win by 15. Make it even like 5 or 10 because it's hard enough. So minor note, but yeah, like Jan said, like we wouldn't be playing the game if there weren't stuff that we really liked. So keep that in mind again for all the people who might think, oh, we're being negative, this and that. Like we're playing it, we're not quitting. Just please fix the things we need to fix, and I think we'll be sunshine, lollipops, and rainbows from then on. But yeah, no, that's about it. I guess I'll let you wrap it up. But listen, this felt good. It's nice to hear your thoughts and my thoughts, and I think I'm glad that. I'm not surprised we agree. I don't think there's anything we didn't agree on, which is typical.
Yeah.
It's been a lot of fun. I'm excited for. It'll be interesting to see where we're at in the next podcast, where we see if 2K did fix a lot of the things we're fixing, or maybe it's worse. Maybe it's better. Who knows? We'll talk about it in the next one.
That's right. And I will say really quickly, I think one thing to Harry's last point is, yes, while we did have a lot of the same opinion, what you're going to get in every single one of these podcast episodes going forward is you're going to have the opinion of someone who plays the game in a little more of a casual sense, as in I don't maybe put in as much time as Harry did at the beginning of the season in grinding the game. He hit level 40, I think, before I even hit level like 20. But he also plays a lot more online than I do. And so you're going to have the opinions or the perspective of someone who plays a more casual play style and a little more offline compared to Harry, who's going to be doing a healthy dose of online and offline. And he's just, I mean, I will say it, even though I did beat him in TT online yesterday, but he will not admit it. He is the more skilled player between the two of us, and I'm happy to admit that. He's incredibly good at the game. So I think having those two perspectives over the course of hopefully the entire year of NBA 2K24 My Team will be hopefully really healthy. It'll provide two different perspectives, and hopefully if you're watching this and you play the game mode, it'll give you two different perspectives and you can maybe get a little bit of usage from either side. And I think that's all we're really hoping to do. And if for any other reason, we're just looking for a reason for us to get together, chat like, like the good old days, and just, get all of our frustrations and all of our good feelings about 2K off our chest and to share it in this forum. So, Harry, I appreciate you, man. Thank you so much. Really looking forward to hopefully doing more of these pods with you on a more regular basis, and hoping to get together with you again for sometime around the start of season 2. So, yeah, until then, YouTube, we appreciate you. This is Jan, signing off. Peace.